Would I be the asshole if I refused to go to my daughter's wedding because my wife isn't invited? I never wanted children. I was always careful, always wore a condom, but somehow I ended up getting my ex pregnant. I begged her to abort or to consider adoption, but she wanted to keep the pregnancy. We ended up moving in together and I met my wife around the same time. We were in the same friend group and I was instantly very attracted to her. I guess people call it an emotional affair. I told her about my problems and she was supportive and believed if a woman could abort, a man should have the right to walk away. My ex gave birth to twins and I stayed for the first 6 months, but honestly I just didn't love them. I didn't want to be a father, the feelings weren't there, and I was becoming very depressed. I hated my life and I think if I stayed I would have ended up severely depressed or an alcoholic. My wife graduated around that time and was moving back to California. We were in New York, so across the country. She said I should come with her and start over. She said something that really stuck with me about how if I don't walk away now I can't do it in 5 years, and right now is the moment to hurt my kids the least. I told my ex that it wasn't working and I didn't want to be a dad. I moved to California and married my wife, but I paid all of my child support, paid for their education, extracurriculars, etc. When the twins were 18 they wanted to meet me, and I felt ready. My son and I built a good relationship, but my daughter hates my wife. She wants her to apologize for telling me it was all right to leave, which obviously even if she did say that, I made the decision. My daughter is getting married and recently said my wife is not invited. I told her that is incredibly disrespectful and you can't invite half of a couple. She said she is selfish and evil and just said those things so I'd move with her. I've fully paid for this wedding, which I probably wouldn't have if I knew this ahead of time, but I told her I will not publicly disrespect my wife. Are you the asshole for not going to the wedding if your wife isn't welcome? No. Is your daughter the asshole for not inviting your wife? No. Sounds like she doesn't have any relationship with your wife, so I can understand she doesn't want her there. You had the chance to introduce your wife to your daughter for several decades but decided you didn't want that, so that one is on you. Are you the asshole for suddenly deciding you want to teach your daughter, the one you abandoned, what is and isn't disrespectful? And who she must invite to her wedding? Yes. You are the asshole. Yeah, you are the asshole. Your daughter is absolutely within her rights to say, "That's the woman who convinced you to walk out of my life when I was a baby, so I don't want her at my wedding." Stay home with your wife, since she means more to you than your daughter, and let your daughter have the wedding she wants without drama. You didn't want to be a dad anyway, you said so yourself, so why would you try to be at her wedding now? NTA for not attending, because after all we all have choices, but you are the asshole for thinking your wife is entitled to go to her wedding just because she is your wife. That is not how it works at all, and you can invite only half of a couple if you don't like one of them. It is her day, not yours, and to me, this part is incredibly selfish and childish of you. Why did you ever tell your children, or ex, what your wife said? WIBTA. Your daughter will hold this against you as well. She has a right to be upset you are the one who left, and yes, it was you who made the decision, in her mind, though if she hadn't said that she would have had her daddy. You are the asshole. You left your kid and are expecting her to not have resentment towards you. She has the right to not invite your wife to her wedding if she doesn't have a relationship with her. It's her wedding and she can decide who she wants to invite and not invite. You are the asshole. Not inviting half a couple is rude, when it's a normal couple. Maybe you've never asked, but imagine how awful your kids felt growing up. They thought, and you said, they weren't loved by their father. They know you chose your wife over them. Your wife encouraged you to absolutely abandon your family, and you expect your children to act like that never happened? I wouldn't have invited you or your wife to my wedding, but your kids are nicer than me. You are the asshole. Are you really surprised your kid doesn't like the woman who encouraged her father to abandon her? And how the heck do they even know she said this? Info. Have you ever sat down with your daughter and explained that your decision to not be a part of her life was yours and yours alone? You are the asshole. She doesn't want person, who she hates, attend her wedding. It's her wedding and she decides who invited. Now you try to blackmail her by saying you have saying because you paid. You chose to pay. She has no relation to your wife, but you are her dad. Even if you don't want to be and she wants her dad to be there. But like always, you don't really care about her, that's why you left them. You did not want to be dad, and your wife becomes before her. You are the asshole for thinking your wife is entitled to attend. You don't need to ever invite the whole couple. Your daughter doesn't have to invite someone she doesn't like to her wedding. Her special day. Also, you are the asshole for making plans to move away with another woman while you were still with your wife. End the marriage relationship before you start conversations like that with someone else. I know it was a while ago, but dude, really, talking to someone else like that is cheating, even if you weren't emotionally invested in your relationship. End it first. Nah. Some people don't want kids and you knew early on you never did. You did a lot by paying for them still. With that being said, it's your daughter's wedding and it's her day and she doesn't want your wife there, which is completely understandable. Just like she has a right to choose not to invite your wife, you have the choice not to go. However, if you care about her, I'd probably attend. Hopefully she only gets married once and it'd be a shame to miss out on such a huge life event she wants you a part of. WIBTA. Your kids have no relationship with your wife, and you admit she is the reason you abandoned them, so of course your daughter wouldn't want her at the wedding. You are the asshole. You didn't want to act like a father, but now you want to get treated as one, and there aren't midways on this matter. You either are or aren't a father. You can skip between the two for your convenience. You paid for your daughter's wedding, but that was up to you. You decided to do it by yourself, out of remorse or whatever. But you can't take that like a card for triumph. Your daughter is entitled to invite whoever she wants. If she doesn't want to invite your wife, which I understand since the poor thing believes that she is a witch who stole her father, instead of realizing you're just a cold-blooded man, without the guts to tell her the truth, it's her right. Info. The username is making me wonder if you are actually the daughter. If not, why would you tell your daughter your wife encouraged you to abandon your family? I feel like this post doesn't make sense and is either fake or the daughter actually writing it. Not the asshole. You're really blunt about the whole not wanting to be a dad nor being ready for it, and you've financially backed your children. If you paid for the wedding in its entirety, you should be able to expect your wife to attend too. Currently think the daughter is just being jealous and entitled. From your daughter's perspective, you didn't want her, or pick her, or go out of your way in 18 years to see her. Neither has this woman, who all she's ever known was the one who stole her father. And now instead of attending her wedding, you're picking this woman again, over your own daughter. It's definitely a catch-22 for you, and either way you'll look like the I say everyone sucks here because this needs to be worked out in therapy, not in wedding planning. You say your wife was in your friend group, so that makes it super likely that your ex knew her and was probably also friends with her. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you left the mother of your children for a mutual friend, blamed this friend for giving you the push, and then never interacted with your children at all after that. Your daughter has no connection to you or your wife, but loves her mother because she spent her whole life with her as a caregiver. Now she's put in a position where she has to expose a person she loves to someone who hurt her to appease the desires of a person she barely knows. Not the asshole for staying home. They'll be relieved they don't have to deal with you. You are the asshole. In a normal setting it would be reasonable to not want to go to a wedding if your other half is not invited. However, this situation is a mess and you are a spiteful, insensitive man. I left my kids I never loved for my mistress who pushed me to leave and now it's rude they don't like her. You are the asshole. What makes you a bigger asshole is I guess people call it emotional cheating, bit. You are the asshole for wanting to force your wife on your daughter when it's been made clear daughter wants NC. I'm curious, why would your wife even want to go? Your wife sounds pragmatic. See, the advice she gave you in the beginning is something a pragmatic person would say. Not the asshole. Honestly, some people shouldn't be fathers. Sometimes being in a child's life when you don't want to be there is so much worse than if you up and leave. You were financially responsible for the children, which was the right thing to do, but if you weren't ready to be a father, you did the children a service by leaving. It's shitty what your daughter is doing, but she is entitled to her feelings. Your wife caused you to not be in her life, and she feels she's missed out on experiences because of it. Completely rational and forgivable. That being said, she can't expect you to foot the bill and not invite your wife. She can get over herself and have you pay, or she can have the wedding she wants, and you can send her a itemized bill. Question: how does your wife feel about this? I can't imagine why she would want to go. You are the asshole. Your name on here is Lilia Rose. Is this even your story, or are you the affair partner looking for a reason why she is not the Not the asshole. So many people here focused on the extraneous details that don't actually matter to the question at hand. What does actually matter is that Op and his wife paid for his daughter's wedding, in full, and expected both of them to receive an invite. That's not being presumptuous or entitled. If you contribute to someone's wedding fund, literally the least the bride plus groom could do is invite them. Op's daughter let Op and his wife pay for her wedding in full, knowing the entire time they were doing so that the wife wouldn't be getting an invite. That's an asshole move. You are the asshole. Paying for kids and never raising them is not actual fatherhood. If you think she's being rude, you should have taught her better. Sounds like she has healthy boundaries for me. The wedding will be just like the rest of your life. You're absent, but at least you paid for it. It was fine up until now, why is it now a problem? Nothing new here. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. Why did you tell your daughter the fact that you had an emotional affair with your wife and she encouraged you to abandon your kids? And why should she invite someone like that to her wedding? Who invites people that dislike them and hurt them to their weddings? It's reasonable for her not to want her around in those circumstances, and it's not disrespectful at all. Your wife doesn't deserve respect from your daughter after that. You have to give respect to get it back. I hope she grows to realize that the kind of person who would drop their wife in it to cover their own back is the kind of person who will make up excuses to abandon their own children. Utterly selfish. Not the asshole for not going, but you can't force someone to let someone come to their wedding. It's not your event. And your wife has a very unpopular but true opinion about how a man should be able to leave. Your ex knew you weren't ready but forced you, and even after leaving you still paid for stuff. You did all you can do. Not the asshole. You did all you could. Just walk away. Did your ex know you didn't want children? In case you lied to her or kept quiet, you should not have had sex with her. Everything that followed is on you alone then. P.S. Your daughter can invite whom she wants to. It's her big day and her loved ones joining her at her wedding. She alone decides. You and your wife need to respect that ASAP. Your opinions and wishes are irrelevant. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. Does your wife even want to come? You are the asshole. I need to shower after reading this. I get you didn't want kids, but you had them, and to your daughter, you chose your wife over her. That hurt will never go away. And I'm sorry your wife suggesting you have to leave completely by X date or not at all is manipulative. You were going to hurt those kids no matter when you left. All your daughter wants is for you to choose her for once. Big selfish asshole. Your daughter is taking it out on your wife because she doesn't want to admit you were the one to make this decision. It's easier to blame her than you. I'm sorry you are dealing with this. Your daughter should have told you in the beginning your wife would not be invited. Personally, I would be sending your daughter an invoice for the wedding and a note stating why she is in the wrong. If she is old enough to make these decisions, she is old enough to pay for the wedding herself, and demand an apology for your wife. Your daughter needs to acknowledge you made this decision, no one else. Not the asshole. I personally think nah. You had the right to walk away, and most who walked away wouldn't go to the lengths you did to make sure their kids were taken care of. Your daughter has the right to dislike your wife and to not invite her to the wedding. You have the right to refuse to go to the wedding if your wife isn't invited. You, however, are not really justified in being angry that your wife isn't invited. Your wife is in no way involved with your daughter, so there is no reason for her to be invited. It's a tough situation, hope it gets resolved. Edit. Grammar. Would you be the asshole for not going to your daughter's wedding? No, that's not the asshole. If you retract paying for it now or try to guilt her into changing her mind, then things are less straightforward. Info: how do your kids know what wife said, or that she convinced you to move to California? Did your ex tell them, or did you? Absolute YTA. You felt no connection to them when they were babies, and now you expect your daughter to feel a connection with your then mistress, now wife. You are the asshole, because you found a way to make sure your ex, and the children you didn't love, knew that your current wife encouraged you to leave. I cannot imagine a single scenario where that information couldn't have been kept to yourself. And now you are playing the victim when one of your children doesn't want the woman you threw under the bus at her wedding. I can't imagine being so self-centered that you think she should do something that would make her so uncomfortable on her own wedding day, to spare the feelings of the man who abandoned her and a complete stranger. You reap what you sow. Not the asshole. You have been with your wife for 18 years and you are a joint team. Frankly, I would be canceling things and trying to get deposits back, because people don't have the right to insult you and yet take your money. Whether you go to the wedding or not, get a vasectomy please. If you know you don't want kids, you shouldn't be relying on the woman to keep it that way. In all honesty, I don't think you should be attending the wedding at all. You can't expect to be taken seriously as a father figure when you have been gone all of their lives just because you are giving them access to your wallet. You are in no position to give them a lecture on who they should and shouldn't allow into their lives when you decided they would not be a part of yours when they were babies. Also, why would your wife even want to go to this wedding? You're probably only invites because you paid for it. You're a sperm donor and a bank, not a father. You sound completely out of touch with reality. YTA. Seeing as you did pay for the entire wedding, she should get to attend. But that being said, I can guarantee it's more about the fact that probably know you didn't want and don't love them but felt financially obligated. You are the asshole. Why is it important to you to attend your daughter's wedding when you've made it clear at every opportunity that you don't want to be her dad? You set the precedent here. You spent her entire life sending money and withholding everything else. Why would you expect anything different here when you haven't changed your behavior? Not the asshole. You paid for them like you should have, and clearly one of your kids was thankful for it. People calling you the asshole obviously have never had a shitty parent stick around for the kids, or had one abandon the family without any financial support. You made the best of a bad situation. Moreover, inviting one half of a couple is petty and tactless. She needs to grow up and either face her emotions or exclude you both entirely. Not the asshole for not going to the wedding, however your daughter isn't either. Now, I'm gonna say something a little controversial here, but here I go. Not the asshole for leaving your kids. There are so many stories out there of alcoholic abusive fathers that never wanted kids, and kids that wished their fathers would abandon them so they could be happy. It's kind of a lose-lose. If you stay, people say you're the asshole for not loving your kids and you may be depressed and turn to alcohol, making you more of an asshole, and if you leave, then people say you're the asshole for abandoning your kids and being selfish. There's no good way for that situation to end. It just sucks. You are the asshole. After 18 years you decide you want a relationship with your kids. Let them blame your wife for your decision. How else would your daughter know this backstory? Paid for a wedding knowing your daughter hates your wife and now you feel entitled to a +1. Jeezo. And now you're playing the victim when the only victims in this story are the two kids who grew up without a father. Damn, are you Roger Sterling from Mad Men? Not the asshole. The bridezilla should have made clear that the wife won't be invited before accepting money for the wedding. Doing that in later stages is just an asshole move regardless of the events leading to it. Not the asshole for this. You're paying and your wife should be invited in this instance. You're asshole for leaving your kids. That's off topic to the Q. Bottom line, your wife should have been invited, and you're right to stick with her. How can you hurt a child the least by hurting them for as long as possible? And this backwards logic is what stuck with you. You are the asshole for every decision you've made in your life. You are the asshole, you are the asshole, you are the asshole 1,000 times over. I spit on your face and on your grave. My question is, who thought it was a good idea to tell your kids that their stepmother told you to leave when they were infants? Feels like an unnecessary and hurtful amount of details was shared with them. You are the asshole. This is why I have and will never look for speak to my sperm donor.